I am the Headless Headhunter, a corporate recruiter, here to help you get ahead of your job search by reviewing your resumes. So, and give other job search advice. But this person is want to be a foreign policy analyst, and I will be perfectly frank with you, I have never recruited for a policy analyst, yet alone a foreign policy analyst. I did find a couple of the keywords that these seem to be broadly of every policy analyst. These were the same. There were a couple of differences, but these were in most of them. So the first one is you have a degree and you previously had work as some kind of analyst or policy creator, such as in the government, the think tank, or Congress, whatever it could be, you did it. That was huge. The other one is industry specialization. So in this case, it would be foreign policy, I assume. The next one is, and this was in a lot, draft memos, reports, presentations, and briefings for internal and external stakeholders and customers. And the thing that was in the most job descriptions that I found was Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and that you can multitask. So this is what I am going to be looking for. And if you all need help and you need your resume reviewed, please go down to the link below. That is where it is. There's also the link for my Twitch chat, which is where I look up these keywords and help people live. It's at Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. PST till about 2 p.m. on twitch.tv/headlessheadhunter. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and let's see if we can't help this out. They also did not tell me how many positions they apply to, so I don't know their ratio. So first thing, formatting is off. I want your formatting to look like this. In like 99% of the resumes, this basic formatting is what you want. The more boring, the better. You really don't want fancy resumes. The fancier your resume, the higher the chance you get rejected. So highly motivated, blah, 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 blah. Okay, don't care. This can be deleted. Again, I don't need a summary if you're going into this type of industry. So the second is you have a master's, you have a Taiwan, you have a bachelor's in science. This should be 3 lines max. I don't know what you want to put into it. I'm assuming since you already graduated, unless your master's is different than your bachelor's, you should probably leave the bachelor's out. Once you have a master's, it's assumed that you have other degrees. So probably since you're doing foreign policy, this is something you would want. But again, it should fit into 3 lines max. This whole section should be 3 lines max. I would keep the awards and certs. That's kind of neat. So experience. Researcher working group of 4 to conduct in-depth research and analysis on Indian Russian relations and foreign policy to deliver report for the Carnegie. What is the Carnegie? What is a Carnegie? Did you put it to the Carnegie? I don't know why the Carnegie is important. Is the Carnegie important? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Again, this one is outside my depth, but typically you don't want to assume a basic resume theory is never assume the person understands your acronyms or what the stuff is. You have to show, not tell us why that is. Case studies exploring entry in Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. Okay, completed extensive interviews with policy. What do you mean interviews with policy expert? Give me more. How did you do this? Utilize data as a case study of the analysis of national relations. Again, this one I don't care. Like, you need to show how you did this. Did you use Word, Excel, etc.? Were you drafting memos and presentations? Were you talking to external, internal clients? I need more. Were these at think tanks? You just didn't give me enough. Manage the center's social media presence and outreach through what? You just said through. Conducted targeted research in U.S. energy policy, which I then used to author 45 machines presented by my supervisor at a keynote event at U.S. This is huge! Okay, so this is what they're looking for right here. The problem is it's all the way down here, right? They're probably not going to go that far. But this is what I'm looking for, and I still need more, right? Like, that was, first off, who is your supervisor? Why are they important? Why is this important? This is what we're looking for right here. Conducted research that my supervisor presented, which was about X and Y, or did such that is something I'm looking for. Why is it buried all the way down here? And again, I also need to know how you did this. What did you do? So manage a project whose goals and vulnerabilities, looking for future, sub teams, created a work breakdown. This one is okay, but I need more. The problem is you have a lot of extraneous stuff that I'm not looking for. So with the full caveat that this is outside my industry, but I do know how recruiters think, you need to tell me why this is important. And I don't think you have the right keywords. I think you need to double check. Take about 10 to 15 different job descriptions. Look to see what those qualifications are. Those are going to be your keywords. They also have to be good. Not all job descriptions are good. So do that, fix it up, fix the formatting, and I guess you'll have a higher success rate. I don't even know what your success rate is right now because you didn't tell me. So with that being said, I hope this advice was salient to you, but let me go to the next resume. This is a resume review of a software engineer. This person wrote me like 12 paragraphs, so I'm going to try to answer some of their questions quickly, although a lot of these would be better suited to asking on my stream. The short thing they wanted to know is Workday is going to mispopulate the fields, and that's okay. The fact is, a lot of recruiters in Workday, they don't even look at that part. That stuff's kind of more for like HR. We really just sort of look at we just pull up the actual resume and see if you answered any of the knockout questions correctly or not. So it's okay if your resume mispopulates. It happens to everything. You'll never have a single format that fixes that. The recruiter itself will probably just pull up your real resume. The second question you had is, you repeated action verbs or whatever, and there was a couple other things there, and there's not really a penalty. Recruiter, not AI, is reviewing your resume. Although I will say you don't need your resume to be one page. It's okay to have a longer than one page resume. Ideally, though, the most important thing is your resume should, the important part of your resume is the first half. So what is here is the most important part of the resume, arguably, regardless of anything else. That goes for everybody. So with all that said, and I don't actually know their ratio of applications to interviews, let me see what I can do to help them based on this. So the very first thing they messed up on, and they did mess up, and I'm sorry to say this, is you sent in as a software engineer. The problem is software engineer is not a job title that you would want. I know this is going to sound weird. Let me rephrase that. You need to specify what kind of software engineer you are. When you graduate and when you're in internship, this doesn't matter. But once you graduate and you're looking for your first full-time 40 hours a week role, the corporate world specifies software engineers into 3 categories, and one of those categories is a subcategory. So the first one is front end, the second is full stack, and the other is back end. But in the back end, it's also C or C++ or C#, Java or Python. And maybe COBOL, but I've never seen a COBOL resume. So if you are not having your resume specified for the job title, and this goes for everybody, you will fail. You can never have a general do-it-all resume. You need to have usually about 2 to 4 resumes max. You find the keywords for that, which I can find, but the keywords are going to be different based on the job title. And some job titles, even though they are titled differently, have the same keywords. Some do not. So in this case, software engineer is pretty clear on what the titles are and what the keywords they're looking for. So regardless of how well this is, it's going to fail because I don't know if you're going for front end, back end, or full stack, and if back end, what kind of back end. So I already know it's going to fail. That's what you need to do. And those keywords are real different. Yes, I know full stack is front end and back end, but a full stack keyword is different from the back end keywords, is different than a front end keywords. I don't make the rules, I just teach you how to play the game. So this should be one line. It should be these two should be one line. These two should be one line. I do not want all of this. I do not care. This can be deleted. That'll also save you 2 lines. Your formatting is also wrong. Use this formatting. This formatting is how you do it. If you are not a U.S. citizen, you do not put U.S. citizen. You may need a summary of how they can work on your visa, because if you are on a visa and you're trying to work in the United States, you are realistically going to have to apply to 3 times as many jobs to get the same results. It's just really not a lot of companies are hiring visas. It's a real nightmare. So let's go to this. Again, this should be one line, no bolding. Developed and employed 6 internal using Power Apps to streamline emails. I don't care about anything here. I don't care about this. Yeah, none of this matters. I don't care about any of that. There's nothing I would be looking for. No keywords. Again, here, Gulf IT, configured SailPoint IQ. I don't care about any of this. I do care about Java and SQL. So here's the problem. You have all the way down here until I get to the first keywords, and there are only 2. IT resumes in general are usually pretty keyword heavy. You can't just throw them all in though either. You need to show what the keyword is, how you did it, and why you did it. And in this case, Java and SQL are the only ones I saw. So that's already a waste of like your first half. So here, nope, they do not count. You need to show me how you did it. Engineered a full stack application to manage create diaries events using React and Node.js. Where is the JavaScript, HTML, CSS? This is okay, but you still need to put it here. You need to put it here. You should say, created a full stack web application using JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and on the back end used MongoDB and React or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a coder. I just know how to get them hired. So this using React material, this is good. I don't care about material UI though. That's usually not needed. So again, your problem is you're not focusing. This Java is going to primarily be for backend. I know it sounds weird. I'm going to get coders yelling at me, but this is how the game is played. So Java is used in the backend on job descriptions. JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and TypeScript are full stack. If you're going for front end though, specifically, then JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and PHP, and maybe one or two more. So the problem is already you have too many different things that are competing. Design and transmuting TensorFlow. TensorFlow can be, that's more of a bonus point. It's really going to be more for the AI stuff, but I don't care about the rest of this. There's nothing here I want. Why didn't you tell me how you use Python and Pandas and NumPy? Again, yeah, so your problem is you're not specifying, you don't have the right keywords, and when you do have the right keywords, you sort of have them all over the place, and you can't do that. In the comments below, if you want to know what the keywords for certain jobs are, except C++, I don't think I have that saved. Let me know, and I can just copy paste my keyword list that I have. If I don't have it, I'm going to tell you to come onto my live stream where you can ask me, and I can search them for you live. But this does not work, and this is why. Especially if you are going to need a sponsorship, you are in a much tougher search. It is going to take you about 3 times as much. Normally for new grads, the average is going to be 1 in 50 is an okay ratio. For visas, you're going to want like 1 in 20 ratio. It's seriously going to be brutal. So that's it for this resume. Let me know in the comments below if you need me to send you some keywords. I'd be glad to do that. I think I can do that. And let's go to the next resume. This is a formatting, not resume review of a cybersecurity developer. So this person is in France, and they did not give me any information, and there were way too many different keywords that this could have been, and since I do not have a base knowledge in cybersecurity, I do not want to give you the wrong keywords, so there are no keywords for this. Yes, they are the most important, but I don't know them, and I don't want to give you the wrong ones, because that would be probably one of the worst things I could do is give somebody the wrong keywords because they would focus on that. So this is entirely based on formatting. Also, I don't even know what the keywords would be because when I looked for France, they were all in French and I cannot speak French. So we are going to do basically a formatting thing here, but it does seem like they're doing pretty well. Their ratio is 1 to 25, so I'm assuming they've probably got the right keywords regardless. So first off, let me check for education real quick. At master's, yeah, okay, so this should be up at the top. So ideally, I want your resume to look like this. All right, this is how it's going to look. This is an interesting part because this is a case of this person has worked at this company and done multiple jobs while they were there. They were a lead backend developer, a offensive security specialist, and a cybersecurity consultant and developer. And I do know those are different, so I'm wondering if maybe you shouldn't just combine them anyway, but I think it does work like this. Again, the formatting is a little off. There shouldn't be blue here. There should be education up here, and then it should sort of look like this, so it's a little fancier, but I think this is okay to put. This goes for everybody that has, like, multiple things at the same company. It is okay to put this. Where you do like offensive security at X Paris from to present, and then under that you do that job and you sort of write them like different stuff. I wouldn't bold it, weirdly enough, but I would, everything else I would sort of write with, besides those little lines over in the corner. So those are just minor formatting things. Taught at Parents for Master Student, this seems good. Again, this seems solid. Yeah, so just a couple of formatting errors and timeline errors. Primarily with this is you started this at about the same time. You really want to make sure your timeline makes sense. Ideally, you want your timeline to flow really well. Sometimes people can't do that, like if they're graphic designers or they're primary contractors, then it can get a little different. But in this case, I don't know if you should even put this, and if you do, I think it might want to be in maybe a separate section, because the timeline is going to throw people off a little bit. But again, we are kind of being very nitpicky here because this person does have a 1 to 25 ratio, which is solid. Although I don't know how many roles there are in France that are cybersecurity. So if there's not a ton of roles, maybe a 1 to 25 isn't as good in that particular small market. But again, I don't know. I've never been there. So taught cybersecurity, DevOps, again, yeah, because this is where that automated deployment for microservices. Yeah, these seem solid. Again, I don't know if these keywords are correct or not, but it seems solid. It just seems like a couple of formatting issues. And your education should be up at the top. I'm not a huge fan of skills sections. Oh, here it is. That's also something I do know about cyber. My knowledge of cyber may be limited, but I do very much know that these certifications are important. So this and your education should be up at the top. It is very important to have those certifications. So is this a good resume? Probably yes. I think I'm really taking this from like a B to an A. So fix the formatting, move the education and certifications up top, just so it's clearer for people. Ideally, we don't want it longer than 3 lines. It might be able to get 4 because, again, certs in cyber are a little bit different. So, and that's all I can do for this one. Let's go to the next resume. This is a resume review of a game developer, and I put that in quotations because, again, they gave me like 12 different titles. I think this is not actually a game developer. I think this is an environmental artist, which did have some matching keywords. So from my understanding, these are some, but not all of the keywords that you would need for an environmental artist. But then it also breaks down a little bit even more into there. So take these with a grain of salt. They are not the end or be all, but yeah, so this person has a ratio of 150 to 1, which is not good. That's not good at all, but they did say they're not super active. They're not really actively looking. They just want to make sure their resume is good in case. So there's a lot of unknown information, but what I would, in theory, be looking for a environmental artist specifically, again, we are looking for environmental artists, not necessarily game dev, even though that is under the umbrella of game dev, is 3D design is probably the most important one. That has been in a lot of it. Maybe Flame, maybe CAD, probably one of these. Blender, Maya, ZBrush, Substance Painter. Then it's going to break down even further, like, have you worked with AMD? Have you worked with Unreal? You know, the type of, like, subsystems. And then maybe materials and shaders. AAA was a big one, so ideally I'm going to look for AAA along with the type of game, so FPS, RPG, etc. And then there's a couple of more. But I'd say ideally what I'm going to be looking for is the word 3D in general, AAA, and then maybe something like specific to game dev. So again, professional summaries don't count. I ignore professional summaries. Most recruiters do. Most hiring managers do. Unless you are switching industries, this really doesn't matter because it doesn't. It doesn't really tell me anything about it. Every single professional summary is the same, and almost all of them don't tell me anything. Because if you have like a keyword up top, it doesn't matter because you need to show me how and why you used it. But everybody says passionate and whatever, so professional summaries are not needed. Unless you're switching industries, then it is important. If you're switching industries, it is. So education, just in general, this formatting is off. So this is what the formatting should look like. And for people that are wondering why I care so much about formatting, it's because recruiters have 15 seconds to look at your resume. And the harder it is to read your resume, the bigger chance there is going to be of them missing a keyword that is important. And if they do that, you're not going to get the position. Recruiters do not have the time to dig through resumes, every single one, unless they're sourcing, which is a entirely separate issue. And even then, you can't really spend more than 15 to 30 seconds on a resume. The exceptions to those are if it's in an incredibly hot market, but at the time of this video, practically no market is incredibly good, except for accounting and nursing and maybe blue collar. I need to double check on that last one. So this should be 2 lines, not bolded. Recent projects, I guess that's important. Well, yeah, I get that. That's why. So, typically you'd want your experience above that, but I'm assuming that you don't have your current job on, or it's not in the same industry, so you don't put that. So that would be understandable. From concept to completion, that is actually a good way to describe that. I really like that. Led blank metaverse project 3D space, created 3D models, UE5. So first off, it's very possible. I'm assuming, I've never recruited for video games. I'm assuming that means Unreal Engine 5. Write that out, because what I was looking at in the job descriptions when they had Unreal Engine, they did not say UE5, they said Unreal Engine 5. And it's possible the person recruiting for this does not know that. Possible I am wrong with this. Again, this is not my role. Worked on production environment, I don't know. Conflicts, maintaining stability. So yeah, I'm going to guess these are not the right keywords. I'm going to guess based on assuming what your ratio is. There's so much assumptions in this, which I don't like doing, because every little thing can change it. But I'm assuming you don't have a ton of the right keywords here, or alternatively, they are written like this. So this should be written out. 3D models is fine. Yeah, plus this was at 3 months. Was this a contract? Was this all at the same company? So normally, you really don't want to have a job on your resume if you've been at it for less than 3 months. Internships are an exception. Interns specifically, it's expected to be 3 months, or 2 months or 1 month. But if you have stuff that's been less than that, then you don't want it. So this has been about 3 months, give or take. This has been about 2 months, and this has been about, a year. So that one's solid. But ideally, if these are contracts, I would either keep them or maybe... Sorry, not keep them, bundle them up together. I'm really tired right now. My brain not working. But you would probably want to bundle these up together, or put them into like sort of projects and contracts. So split those up. So instead of just recent projects, it says projects/contracts. So that way you could write this out, and then this would be your full-time one. But yeah, so again, this stuff needs to be here. I don't know which is as important, but I'm pretty sure your formatting is holding you back a lot, and the fact that you're not being specific about what you're applying for. Because game developer can be a lot of different things, but environmental artist, even with environmental artist and what I was looking for in keywords, they were still kind of... there's not as much overlap as you would like, so you have to be very specific with your job title. So fix the formatting. I'm going to guess you don't have the right keywords. But you do have these two, which is good, but you do need to write it out. And then I think you'll have higher success if or when you start looking for a job. So let's go to the next resume. This is a resume review of a ServiceNow developer. This is their third time resubmitting, which is fine. After you fix up your resume, feel free to resubmit it again to me. It's an iterative process. They have not actually put these changes into effect, so they don't know the ratio because they didn't really start applying with it. So what we're going to be looking for as a ServiceNow developer is education, whether it be a high school or GED, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, XML, SQL, REST, SOAP, APIs, ITIL. The fact that you have the word ServiceNow developer or CSA. An extra credit will be ETL, GRC, IRM, and Agile and Scrum. So the first part is correct. Normally, I don't like education sections this long and cert sections this long, but when you get into type of an industry where the certifications are really important, which as far as I'm aware, ServiceNow developer is, it's okay to have a lot of these. Realistically, I don't know if you need all of these, though. You do need this, the high school. I don't know how many of these are needed, but maybe there is a way to break them down and make it a little simpler, but otherwise this is okay the way it is. So, first off, stop bolding. Nothing here should be bolded. It's not good to bold anything here. You don't want any of it bolded. All right, there's a reason this is not bolded on mine. It should not be bolded on yours. It makes it harder to read, especially considering all these are bolded, which means you're going to try to read it and then go back up. Remember, we have 15 seconds to look at your resume. In those 15 seconds, your bolding is going to make it harder to read, not easier. So, administrated and enhanced the ServiceNow platform. I'm not sure I like that one. Configuring core ITSM. Again, I don't know if I saw ITSM models request and workflows using Flow Designer. And here, I don't know why you bolded Flow Designer even. I don't care. JavaScript is good. So here's kind of the problem. This is not a great bullet point. Administrated and enhanced. But like, okay, I want you to say, right, maintained or created. So like maintained our ServiceNow platform by using JavaScript and blank, which you kind of did, but flow design isn't really needed in an X and Y environment. That way you can add more. Develop foundational knowledge and align ServiceNow processes with best practices to deliver. Okay, again, you're not telling me the. I can tell you're focused on how good you want to look. All right, this reads like someone who is trying to brag, and I don't mean that as in if you're good or not. I can't tell if you're good or not, but you don't want to like just have brags on your resume. You need to show the what, how, why, and right now you're kind of not showing the how, and you're focusing too heavily on the why, right? Like, you can't just say, ServiceNow with industry best practices to support delivery and resolution. I need you to actually tell me what you did. All right. You can't just tell. I can't say I'm the best recruiter in the world. I'm not. Absolutely not. But if I said that on a resume, I would have to back it up. I would have to show how I'm the best recruiter. I would say every role I filled, I've increased hires. I've increased the amount of hires and gotten kudos from hiring managers, like that kind of stuff. This is not what I need. Applied Agile Scrum methodologies within ServiceNow. See, that one's okay. To manage user stories, plan sprints, and execute test cases, supporting structured iterative development and testing workflows. This one's okay. I like this one. I think this is one of your better sentences. So documented platform configurations and known issues while actually learning and beginning to implement. This is weird. What do you mean, like, while actively learning and beginning to implement? I don't care that you learn fast. I know I hate the fact that I have to say that, but I've only had one role in the entirety of time I've been recruiting that really did care about how fast you could kind of learn something on a resume. I need to show that you've done it, not that you can learn it. And that's weird that you said actively learning and beginning to implement. Just say implemented HTML, CSS, XML, and JSON to customize forms, UI pages, and knowledge articles to increase onboarding and faster resolution. That part's fine. Here's the problem. This right here is a solid sentence. This right here is not. So you're overdoing it with, like, I don't know, adjectives or whatever. You're trying to add flowery language. I want you to take that out. Your resume should be boring. This is a good sentence. And this way, when you have sentences like this, you can add more of them, which shows more keywords. So yes, we do have most of the keywords, which is good. And again, you don't need all of them. Ideally, I'd have all of them, but not everybody's going to match it 100%. So, and then develop reasoning, going to implement business rule script. Again, there's too much verbiage of extraneous stuff. And again, you can look at ServiceNow developers. You can look at those job descriptions. It should be these. Now, maybe they've changed since I've looked at it, and that's okay. But it looks like you have too many different stuff. You're focusing on trying to sound good when I don't need you to show me how good you are, because the person reading it is not going to understand. So fix the formatting, mainly just the bolding and the fact that this should be on one line. And how you do need better bullet points, because again, the bullet points are the most important part. I would rather bad formatting than bad bullet points, but hopefully you can have both. So, and I want you to get a job because it's tough out there. So with that's it for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out. If you need more help, stop by my Twitch at Headless Headhunter at twitch.tv/Headless Headhunter. The link is in below. Submit your resumes, and I'm here to help you get ahead of the job market. See you next video.